My name is Phillipah Rumano. I am a multimedia artist. I paint, I sculpt, I'm a stone sculptor, and I do printmaking. Um, I was born into a family of artists. I was born into a family of sculptors. So I would say I was literally born into sculpting because when I was growing up, that's the only thing that I ever saw happening at home. And my dad worked from home, so sculpting was like an everyday kind of living. Um, I was always passionate about sculpting, but I found it very masculine, and also the lack of female representation in the field because my father and his brothers were sculpting. So that literally makes me the first female sculptor from my family. So I guess when my father noticed that I had a gift, you know, I was an artist. I was a natural artist. So he started buying me um, painting books, and yeah, paint brushes. So I started painting at a very young age. I think preschool. I started painting from the age of preschool. Yes. So when I was doing my secondary education, he then enrolled me at the National Art Gallery of Zimbabwe, where I started doing part-time art classes. I'm also a fashion designer, and I also started at a very early age. My mom gifted me a sewing machine at the age of 10. Yes, and it was a domestic sewing machine that she used to use. So she used to go to community crafts and arts projects where they would learn to sew, cook, bake. Um, so it's also something that I saw my mom doing. And um, when I turned 10 and when she saw that I was very keen on sewing, because I would make my own dolls from scratch with scrap materials. And so she gifted me her sewing machine, and I started sewing from then. I think I was in grade 4. I think 10. Yeah, I was 10. So Woman of Stone, uh, for me, celebrates a lot of things. It's it's a way of finding myself. It's a way of coming to the fullness of self-awareness. It's about resilience. It's about boldness. It's about being unapologetically who I am. So, like I mentioned earlier, it took me a very long time for me to embrace the sculpting side of me because I always thought it was something that is masculine, too masculine for me to do. And so it's only up until I started sculpting that I realized passion is not bound by gender. If it was my calling, and it is, I find it very easy. And people often ask me how I, as a woman, am able to carve through stone, which brings back to that same conversation that created the concept itself. I went to spark conversations on what is masculinity, what is femininity, what defines passion. Is it gender? Is it, I find society to have these boxes that people are supposed to fit into, and which is very limiting. I found that to be very limiting. There's so many women or even men who actually died without even having fulfilling their dreams because it felt some type of way when it comes to society. It didn't really fit the box they were supposed to be in. So when I started sculpting, it gave me this freedom. It liberated me from from me having to care much about what people think and how people think of me and what people think about my craft. I felt so much connection to a lot of women who related to the Women of Stone, who related to the message behind the concept. And I feel like had I not took a step to follow my passion, simply because society says I'm a woman and I should do these other things, I would have not met and engaged with women who related so much to my work. I want women to be confident of who they are. I want there to be a space where I and all the other women and literally everyone else to be in a space where we are free to express ourselves the way we are, in a space where we are not concealed. We don't conceal parts of us because we try so much to fit in. A space where the creatives can just be creatives without, despite gender. I feel like all of these sculptures relate mostly to me because they have their eyes closed, of which I'll get deeper into why they have their eyes closed, all of my work, and they have bold facial features. When I was growing up, having bold facial features, facial features was something that was not a beauty standard. It was something like would literally have to, conceal our lips, like to because they're too bold. And yes, and I find that to be very interesting. How when we are growing up as little kids, how children pick up on these things that are put there by society, and it molds them. Sometimes works for them, but then mostly it creates this timid spirit that bars them, that becomes a barrier to them spreading their wings and flying. So having these bold facial features on most of all of those works, it's a sign of like a revolution for me. It's a space which I have come to, which I can tell these stories that could not be told. When I was growing up, we didn't have even on TV, anyway in the media, where you would see a celebration of bold women and with bold facial features, and which is mostly related to African women. But it is now that people are awakening to the idea of beauty. What is beauty? And so I love celebrating that. It relates to me the most. And I also feel like what delayed me into this sculpting craft is that also I looked around too much. I've come to the term to terms with having to close my eyes for me to see clearer. I feel like every person have their own something that's special to them, and you can never see that when you look outside because there's so many distractions outside. Hence, you find that these days people are mimicking each other. A lot of people want to be this person, a lot of people want, and I feel like that is not my path. I feel like I see more clearer when I look from within with my eyes closed. Hence, all of my work has their eyes closed. It's a meditative space that makes me see clearer. Who am I? What's my purpose? What do I want to achieve? What does the world have for me? What do I have for the world? Yes. This one here, the Stone Girlies, it's a moment. I try to capture a moment where you come to meet the people that are just like you, people that have the same beliefs with you, people that look like you, people that celebrate what you celebrate. So this print right here behind me, it's a celebration of like a place of comfort, a place where you belong. I carve through stones to find who I am. Most of my work is about self-finding. I think I spent a lot of my life, most of my life, trying to, fit into places that I thought I could fit in. And I'm happy that now I've come to a place where I'm content with myself. And I know who I am, and I know where I want to go. I know what I want to say. And I've seen inside of me what I want to express. And I think it is regarding to this print, I think you meet your people at that place where you yourself have come to terms with who you are. So you putting out what you are, it connects you to the people that have the same energy and the same beliefs as you. As a person with a fashion background, also when I was young, I didn't know that there are people who exist in the world who are multi-talented. I was not aware of that term. So as I was growing up, I felt like I had to choose between whether I wanted to do fashion or whether I should do art. And also to add on to that, as I've grown, there are times where I also felt like, is sculpting really feminine? Do I really want to get into, to explore into that world as passionate as I am about it? Does it make sense for me, to be able to be on my full feminine energy and yet be in this masculine scenery? So I love the idea of putting those stone heads on petite feminine bodies. It's just like engaging with people's minds because the bottom part, the body and the dress, it is the now trend where people, feminine women dress up and, go to the events and stuff. But then no one goes out with the face like that, or with the head like that, or it comes back to that idea of concealing to look a certain type of way. But for me, it's the daring boldness that just blows my mind. And the same reaction I had when I was coming up with the concept is the same reaction I felt from people who engaged with the work. Like how, and also the idea that I always come back to where people say big-headed women are less attractive. So looking at that, I'm sure then you'd start, it kind of challenges the mind a bit, so how does that work? Something like that, yeah. So the exhibition opened on the 23rd of March, and it was supposed to close on the 25th of April, but 1 week extension. Yes, we've got events that we want to work on, so it's going to be extended for about a week or so, and people can purchase the work at the Origin Art Gallery website. Yes, to those that are interested, and people can still come through and check out the work. Yes.